Good evening, everyone. Good evening, good evening, good evening. I am Chelsealia Cookie Payne, and welcome to a special edition, if you will, of Payne in the Pews Mental Health and Ministry. As you may already know, the month of October has been National Domestic Violence Awareness and Prevention Month, the entire month. And truth be told, domestic abuse prevention and awareness is a year-round, non-stop, never-ending movement, right? And so, in honor of, in recognition of, in support of Domestic Violence Awareness Month, I'm just going to be on for just a little bit to share with you the topic that we're going to talk about real quick tonight, and that is empowering change, raising awareness, and preventing domestic violence. For those of you who may not know, we started Pain and Glory on the platform of domestic abuse prevention and awareness. I, being a person who has experienced a volatile relationship in my younger years. And I came to the understanding that I could not possibly be the only one going through what I was going through. And here's what I mean. Not the domestic abuse part, because certainly I wasn't the only one. But after I was no longer in the relationship, after I was no longer, there was no longer a threat to me, if you will. Mentally, emotionally, I was a wreck. Like mentally, trust. What is trust? I don't, and that's still something that God is still dealing with me in the area of trust. I don't trust easily. So we're going to be talking about, listen, there is hope and there's help. That's a mantra that we use here at Pain and Glory quite a lot. Whether we're talking about domestic violence awareness and prevention, or if we're talking about mental health and ministry, there's help. There's hope and there's help. So, I'm honored to be here just to share, just for just a few moments with you, to shed a little light and give some insight on something that affects, excuse me, and impacts millions of lives every single day. Men, women, children. Listen, domestic violence knows no boundaries, no age boundaries, young or old, knows no gender boundaries, doesn't matter. So, as I shared with you all a moment ago, I founded Pain and Glory Incorporated with a vision to bring awareness and prevention to domestic violence to the forefront of our communities and our churches, right? One of our first Pain in the Pews, out literally not one of our, the very first Pain in the Pews event. We're celebrating 10 years next week, which was Pain in the Pews domestic abuse in the church, right? And so my journey has led me to this purpose, knowing that there were, as I said, other earlier, that there were other women like me who had escaped the relationship, who had gotten out of the relationship, but were still trapped emotionally, was damaged emotionally, isolated, uncertain of their worth. So today, I am here to proclaim to you that there is help, there is hope, there is hope, there is help. So let's do a little domestic violence by the numbers, if you will. So let's start with some really sobering statistics. 1 in 3 women have experienced some form of physical violence by an intimate partner. Let me repeat that for you. 1 in 3 women have experienced some form of physical violence by an intimate partner. I believe for men, it's 1 in 5. And let's not even get into children, right? On average, nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner in the United States alone. We're not talking about abroad. We're not talking about third world countries. We're not talking about overseas. We're talking about right here in the time that it took me to say these few words. 20 people per minute were physically abused in the 60 seconds that just passed. Here's something else that is staggering, that women of color, especially Black and Indigenous women, so you've got BIPOC women, which is Black and Indigenous people of color, Black BIPOC, BIPOC women, they face disproportionately high rates of domestic violence. These numbers, they're not just numbers, they're people. I'm not just spouting off statistics and give you numbers. These numbers are not just numbers, they're people. They are mothers and daughters and sisters and friends and even church members sitting on the same pew as us. Yet, too often, domestic violence is a hidden wound or secret shame that isolates survivors from the help and healing that they need. So this is why domestic violence awareness and prevention, why it's crucial. So my story, I can remember vividly feeling the feeling of being, free from the relationship, like I said, but still feeling imprisoned by the emotional and mental scars it left behind. Like, y'all, it really took me years. I didn't gather a relationship and then start pain and glory. That is not how that went down. No, I had to go through my own process, my own journey. Then came pain and glory. And maybe some of you understand that feeling, that those sleepless nights and the anxiety that creeps in when you least expect it. Boom, there it is. And then moments when you question your worth. You have a lot of questions about self, right? You wonder why, the what ifs of it all, right? The truth is, leaving the relationship is just one step towards healing. It's a big one. It's an important one, and it absolutely is a necessary one. But the emotional damage, the mental battle, the spiritual struggle, those can feel like chains that follow us long after we walked away. Long after we walked away. But I'm here to let you know that those chains can be broken. God has promised us freedom, not just from the physical bonds of violence, but from the emotional ones too. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about faith and healing. Let's talk about that for a minute. In Isaiah 61:1, Isaiah 61:1 says, the Spirit of the Lord God is upon us, is upon me rather. Let me slow down. The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to bring good news to the afflicted. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to captives and freedom to prisoners. God is our healer, our refuge, our restorer. But what we got to do is we got to do our part. Y'all know faith without works is what? Dead. Faith without works is dead. So how do we put this faith we're talking about into action when it comes to healing from domestic violence? Because some things sound good. Because it sounds good to say faith without works is dead and we, yay, rah, rah, rah. But let's make that practical. How do I apply that? I'm going through these challenges, right? I've got this weight on me, this heaviness. My emotions are jacked up. Faith without works. What's the works? Let's get some practical applications. Number one, acknowledge the pain. Yeah, sit with that for a minute. Take a deep breath on that one. Acknowledge the pain. Healing begins with acknowledgement, the acknowledgement of the truth of what you've been through. You know, you can hide from a lot of people. You can hide it from friends and loved ones. But be honest with yourself. Acknowledge that, yeah, I've been through it. And listen, please hear me when I say there is no shame in admitting that you're hurting and that you need help. Listen to me. Please know that there's no shame in that. As women of faith, women who love God, women who are believers, we sometimes feel like we have to have it all together. But God sees your brokenness and He wants to bring healing. So, one, acknowledge the pain. Two, seek help. Yeah, yeah. You don't have to walk through this journey alone, whether it's therapy or a trusted friend, a really trusted friend, or a support group, whatever that looks like for you that you feel safe, reach out. Here at Pain and Glory, we are here to provide resources and support. You can go on our website and there's a plethora of resources on there, and also on our Facebook group page there, where you'll find support for women just like you. There are counselors, faith leaders, and survivor networks available to walk right alongside you. Don't do this alone. Seek help. Seek help. Number three, break the silence. Break the silence. This is not a movie or a TV show where you gotta you gotta stay silent. You gotta be quiet, like they do in the movies. And if you say something is going. No, break your silence. Silence perpetuates shame. By speaking up, and take this from me, I promise you, by speaking up, whether for yourself or for someone else, you allow permission for others to do the same. That's why I do this. I get to share what I've been through, my experiences, and offer resources to others because I've been there and I get it. I love how some churches they do this, but by and large, I would love to see our churches to be a place where domestic violence is not just an acknowledgement, but it's addressed. Just like, not to take anything away from Breast Cancer Awareness Month being in October as well, where we wear pink, we have the pink out Sundays, and I love that. I love that. I love it, love it, love it. But the same attentiveness can be shared. The same light that shines down on the pink ribbon can also shine down on the purple ribbon, right? Not just, as I said, acknowledged, but addressed. As people of faith, we're called to be advocates for the voiceless. Number three, rebuild your identity in Christ. Woo. Take a deep breath on that one too. Yeah. Domestic violence often, it tears away at the very core of your identity. I know. So we're told that, in certain situations, we're told, or we feel like we're told that we're worthless and that we're powerless, and we're undeserving of love. All the negative things that are spewed out in anger. But let me remind you of who God says you are. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are chosen. You are loved and worthy of every good thing that He has for you, that God has for you. Healing involves rediscovering yourself through God's eyes, not even through your eyes. Because sometimes our eyesight can be distorted because of the situations that we've experienced. So let's keep talking about some of these practical ways, because I think that we're on a roll now, so might as well keep going. Might as well keep going with these practical steps for prevention awareness, right? So now we're talking about some practical steps for prevention awareness, right? And the first step is to take action, right? Practically, we're talking practicality. We're talking about prevention and awareness, education. We have got to educate ourselves and our communities about the signs of domestic violence. We gotta know, when that sister or that brother, we as a community, would we know how to identify domestic violence? And if we do, what will we do about it? I've heard many people say, "What if I'm wrong?" Right? What if you ask somebody, is their if they're if they're in danger, if their husband, if they're experiencing domestic violence and they're wrong, and they don't want to lose a friend, well, or be embarrassed. Well, let's see here. Let's weigh that out. I would rather be wrong and possibly lose a friend, but you can talk that through. I noticed that something was different. I just was concerned about you as a friend, blah blah blah. You can work that out. I'd rather be wrong and let that work itself out than to be right and not say anything and have to walk by that casket across the front of the church, or to go see her in the hospital, or to hear about her on the news, or any number of things, to see the bruises. I'm just saying, one is selfish in a sense that, what if I'm wrong? Well, what if you are wrong? If in fact someone is in an abusive relationship and you genuinely go and ask them if they need help, if they need support, and if it's not happening, then God bless them. You notice something was different. And if they say no and something is, they know that someone is at least caring, and they may be too embarrassed to say something about it, but they at least know someone cares. And when they're ready, they'll come. They'll come. Let me step off my soapbox. Let me get back to my practical. What are we talking about? Let me see here. Practical steps for prevention awareness. Yeah. Education. We got to know the signs, and we also need to know how to intervene. You don't say things. You don't ask. You don't say things accusatory. He's not beating you, is he? Well, you asked and answered it. And now you put the person on the defensive. You're victimizing the victim again. He's not doing X, Y, and Z, is he? Now, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Oh my gosh. Or if they do open up to you, don't say, "Why didn't you tell me?" Oh my gosh. That person has already been through enough without you making them a victim again. Why didn't you tell me? Oh my gosh. Do you know how hard it is for a victim to really open up and trust and tell someone? Yeah, education. We're going to start with that one. Community support. Okay? Establish safe spaces in our churches, in our workplaces, in our neighborhoods, where survivors can seek help without the fear of judgment. Make a safe space for them. Have resources like hotline numbers, which I'll give in a little bit. Shelters and counseling, accessible and visible. Just like we have pamphlets for all other things, and links that we share out in our newsletters and all these wonderful things. That is wonderful. There are also resources that you can share that help people who are going through it. And then we've got faith-based action. As believers, we've got to be proactive in addressing domestic violence from the pulpit to the pews, right? Our faith communities should be the place of refuge and restoration. Whew, not of shame and silence. And that really just goes back to education, really. It just goes back to education. So as I said at the beginning, y'all, there's help, there's hope. There's hope, there's help to every woman and man who feels broken, to every person, every survivor who feels like there's no way forward. Listen to me. I want you to know this. I know I've said it multiple times, and I'm going to continue to say it. There's hope and there's help. God is a restorer. He makes beauty from ashes. The pain you have endured doesn't define you. It doesn't define you. God's love does. God's love defines you. You are more than a survivor. You are, listen to me, you are a thriver, created for a purpose way, way, way bigger, way greater, way bigger than the pain you've experienced. Please know that. So, here at Pain and Glory, we're committed to walking with you on this journey from awareness to prevention, from brokenness to wholeness. You don't have to do this alone. There's an entire community that's ready to stand with you, to speak life over you, and to remind you, baby, that your best days are ahead of you. So, as I close out, I need you to get something to write with, a screenshot, how I want to do it. But in closing, I just want to leave you with this. If you or someone you know is going through, is struggling, don't stay silent. Reach out. The healing process, it might take some time, and that's okay. That's okay. But with God's help and practical support, freedom is possible. Together we can create a world where, excuse me, no woman, no man has to feel trapped, where we know our worth. And we know we're loved, where there's not violence, but love prevails. And I really thank you and appreciate you for even taking the time to listen to what I had to share here. I'm going to put some things right up here so you can see. I'm going to copy and paste them in so that you can have access to them. Let me go here. And what I'm going to do, so like I said, you can screenshot if you want so that you can have it. I'm going to put it right on the screen for you because I want you to have this information. I want you, if you or someone you know needs help, immediate help, the National Domestic Hotline is right there on the screen, 1-800-799-7233. If you are interested in finding out about other resources, shelters, and all the things that may be able to help you, feel free to go to our website, painandglory.com, www.painandglory.com, and there you'll see a resources tab where you can get resources and information about about shelters and about support. I want you guys to have what you need and to know that you matter, that there's help and there's hope. Listen, as I said earlier, it is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, the entire month of October, but this is not the end. We're going to have more discussions on domestic violence awareness and prevention because, as the holidays are coming around and all that, it's not always the most fun time for a lot of people when it comes to domestic violence. So we want to make sure that we keep this conversation alive. Also, next Saturday, the 9th of November, you are invited to celebrate with us the 10th anniversary of Pain and Abuse Mental Health and Ministry. The conference is going to be amazing. Oh my gosh. Ooh, y'all, I can't even tell you how excited I am. It's going to be virtual. So log on and register so that you can be a part. bit.ly/mental health and ministry 2024. Go ahead and get in. I can't wait to see you next Saturday, the 9th of November. Woo! Celebrate with us the 10th annual Pain and Abuse Mental Health and Ministry Conference. I can't wait to see you. In the meantime, in the in-between time, I am Chelsealia Cookie Payne, founder of Pain and Glory Incorporated. And listen, continue